Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some massive news coming late Friday night for the Nebraska Cornhusker fans as former Texas wide receiver Isaiah Neyor commits to Nebraska. And for the Nebraska fans that have been listening the last couple of weeks, this is something that we've talked about a lot in terms of building this Nebraska transfer portal wish list. What positions did we want to see Nebraska address in the transfer portal? A big-bodied veteran wide receiver that can win vertically down the field was really at the top of the list. And a guy like Isaiah Neyor pretty much checks all of those boxes that we wanted in the receiver that we're looking for. A veteran presence that has a very physical frame at 6'3", 216 pounds. And I want to take you guys back to that 2021 year where Isaiah Neyor at Wyoming caught 44 passes for over 870 yards, 12 touchdowns, averaged 20 yards per reception. This is exactly what Nebraska needed in that wide receiver. And want to talk Isaiah Neyor and want to talk about what this means for this Nebraska offense. Really, really excited about this gap. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys. And as always, a special shout out to the Nebraska fans. This is a program many of you guys know I love talking about, but the amount of support the Nebraska fans have shown, it means a lot. All the Go Big Reds in the comment section. Cannot thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Isaiah Neyor. And first, focus on what kind of player you're getting in this Nebraska offense. And more importantly, what impact will this have on the Nebraska offense in 2024? Isaiah Neyor, 6'3", 216 pounds. The big number I'm looking at is 20 yards per catch at Wyoming in 2021. And a little bit of a storyline for Isaiah Neyor. After that 2021 season, he hits the transfer portal and was immediately one of the more coveted wide receivers available in the portal that year. He ends up going to Texas. In all reports out of Texas during fall camp was Isaiah Neyor is going to be a stud for this Texas wide receiver room. 3 weeks before the season starts, he tears his ACL, misses the whole entire 2022 year. In 2023, he's battling back from injury and just kind of got buried in a loaded Texas wide receiver depth chart where they have 3-4 guys that are going to play in the NFL next year. And so Isaiah Neyor, fully healthy, the fact that he was able to crack that lineup heading into the 2022 season before the injury, I think tells you what kind of wide receiver Isaiah Neyor can be at the Power 5 level. Now, I want to circle that 20 yards per catch because that was a conversation we had a lot during the 2023 season, but more importantly, in terms of target and what we wanted to see fixed heading into 2024. This Nebraska passing attack, in terms of hitting that explosive play, it really was non-existent. You look at the numbers, 6.9 yards per pass attempt for Nebraska on offense in 2023. That was 109th in the country. And there were two things that were holding back that unit, right? One, obviously the quarterback play was not nearly what it needed to be. But you look at the wide receiver room and the injuries that they suffered, they were relying on a lot of true freshmen to make plays. So you combine a young wide receiver room that really lacked experience, and Matt Rhule talked about that in the press conference, with quarterback play that really struggled to attack that deeper third. It was a bad recipe for this Nebraska offense, and I think it resulted in a lot of struggles. I mean, Henrik Harburg attacking 20-plus yards down the field, 7 of 30, a 23% completion percentage. So not only was Nebraska struggling to hit those explosive plays on offense, which is such an important metric when you want to have an offense that can score points, right? We always say it's a lot easier to go 3 plays, 80 yards, and score a touchdown as opposed to 12 plays, 80 yards, where you can't really hit those explosive plays. One, hitting explosive plays is massive for a college football offense, but more importantly, the fact that Nebraska didn't really strike any fear into opposing defenses in terms of attacking the deeper third and being able to hit those explosive plays, you saw a lot of loaded boxes. And so a lot of 7, a lot of 8-man boxes, because these defenses said, we're not afraid of this quarterback and these wide receivers attacking down the field. And so it hurt the Nebraska run game as well. You bring in a guy like Isaiah Neyor, you show that you can attack that deeper third, hit those explosive plays in the passing attack. I think it's going to make these defenses play with 2 high safeties, not be able to load the box as much. And I think it's going to help this Nebraska rushing attack as well. And another thing I would add here is Dylan Rhule, whether he starts in 2024 or not, probably throws one of the prettier deep balls that you see in all of college football. I mean, the arm talent that Dylan Rhule brings is massive. He wants to be able to use that arm. And a guy like Isaiah Neyor, somebody who can go out and make a contested catch, work vertically down the field, and make some plays for the quarterback, I think is a perfect fit for what Nebraska is going to want to do with Dylan Rhule in 2024. And so you look at this Nebraska offense and some of the boxes you wanted to see it check. I think that a vertical threat like Isaiah Neyor was really at the top of the list. Now, another guy I want to talk about that is on campus for Nebraska, and I think would really balance out Isaiah Neyor in a meaningful way is a guy like Jamal Banks. And as a Wake Forest alum, I've watched a lot of Wake Forest football. Jamal Banks brings, yes, he can work vertically down the field, but I think he does some things that Isaiah Neyor maybe doesn't do as well. And I think they would really balance each other out. So Isaiah Neyor, a guy that can work vertically down the field a lot. Jamal Banks, more of that intermediate guy that when it's 3rd and 6 and you need to pick up a first down, like Jamal Banks is the one getting open, creating separation, using that big frame and making catches in traffic. So you have your vertical presence in Isaiah Neyor. Then you potentially bring in a veteran wide receiver that caught for over 45 first down catches in 2023. That is something that I'm looking for. Because another one of those problems for Nebraska on offense was it's 3rd and 7. We need to drop back and make a play to move the chains. Who was Nebraska going to? And when Billy Kemp was banged up, there wasn't really a guy. I think they wanted it to be Thomas Fedona, and he obviously was solid at times, but definitely some more meat left on the bone for him as well. And I think he can be that guy in 2024. But you add a guy like Jamal Banks, you suddenly have those targets where we need a play to extend a drive. Jamal Banks is the guy getting open. He's also phenomenal in the red zone, catching for over 12 touchdowns the last 2 years. Isaiah Neyor caught 12 touchdowns in 2021. So you got two guys in Jamal Banks, Isaiah Neyor, who are good in the red zone as well. These would be two massive additions that would really elevate this wide receiver room and balance out the young wide receivers that are in this room for Nebraska. So if you're a Nebraska fan, this is a really exciting proposition where you have some young quarterbacks in this Nebraska room, but you're surrounding them with the talent that they need to be successful in 2024. And I want to quickly just talk about, and there's a lot of other visitors on campus for Nebraska that we covered earlier this week, but I want to take us to what Nebraska is doing in the transfer portal so far, because I'm kind of a fan of Matt Rhule using the blend of transfer portals, right? You take a look at a guy like Bly Hill. He's a 2023 guy. So there is multiple years of eligibility for Bly Hill, who's a big physical presence at that cornerback position. And then you're also using the transfer portal to grab veteran bodies that have less years of eligibility, but it will immediately improve the experience and talent level of this roster heading into 2024. And this is something that I think a lot of coaches are doing a good job of. But Matt Rhule, is going to focus on, yes, we want veteran presence in our locker room, and we'll use the transfer portal to go get those guys. You can also use the transfer portal as kind of an extension of the high school recruiting trail. Like a guy like Bly Hill, who is super under the radar coming out of that 2023 class, he balls out at the FCS level. You're essentially getting a freshman coming in through the transfer portal that has a lot of college football experience in Bly Hill. You saw that last year with Nebraska, kind of balancing. We'll get some young guys in the portal that have a lot of years of eligibility left, and also some veteran guys that might have only 1 or 2. And I think you're going to see Nebraska do that as well, because you got a guy like Isaiah Neyor or Jamal Banks who have 1 or 2 years of eligibility left. And then you're also looking at guys like Dante Dowdell, who is a guy that he played during his freshman year at Oregon in 2023, who has multiple years of eligibility left. So Matt Rhule kind of mixing up the kind of players that they are bringing in, but more importantly, checking the boxes of what you wanted from your positions, or what positions you wanted to improve on heading into that 2024 year. Obviously improving the wide receiver room, getting that run game going, adding some depth to that running back room with a guy like Dante Dowdell would be huge. This is exciting to see how Nebraska is using the transfer portal. And we said this and we'll say it again. This isn't going to be Matt Rhule's method of building his roster. You're going to see programs go and grab 25, 30 plus guys in the transfer portal. Matt Rhule doesn't want to do that. He wants to develop from the high school ranks. He wants to take big high school classes, get them in the program, establish that culture, build these guys up, but you can still use the transfer portal to get young players that you can develop as well. Dante Dowdle, Bly Hill, examples of that. And then the veteran presence of Isaiah Neyor, massive addition. This was a name, Isaiah Neyor, that we talked about a lot. Nebraska locks him in. We'll see what comes out of the last couple of visits that we have for Nebraska this weekend. We'll continue to update you guys as more information, potential commitments come out. Nebraska fans, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.